Welcome, literature enthusiasts! Today, we dive into the world of Paz Marquez Benitez, Dead Stars, a timeless gem that explores the complexities of love, disillusionment, and societal expectations. Join me as we embark on a critical analysis, unraveling the layers of this poignant story that continues to resonate with readers across generations. Good day, everyone. I am David Asael Bosacobello from STEM 11 Apollonius, presenting to you my critical analysis of Dead Stars by Paz Marquez Benitez. Introduction. Here we are going to talk about the author's background and the summary of the story, for us to get the full gist of this literary piece. Now, Dead Stars was written by Paz Marquez Benitez. She was born in 1894 in Lucena, Tayabas, now Quezon Province. Born to the prominent Marquez family of Quezon Province, and she was one of the first generation of Filipinos trained in the American educational system. She was a member of the freshman class of the University of the Philippines, graduating with the Bachelor of Arts degree in 1912. The story revolves around Alfredo Salazar, an engaged lawyer whose love for his fiancée, Esperanza, diminishes upon meeting Julia. As the narrative unfolds, the complexity of love, loss, and the passage of time is explored. The tale spans 8 years, during which Alfredo's feelings shift, leading to a bittersweet reunion with Julia that reveals the transient nature of his emotions. The title Dead Stars serves as a poignant metaphor, symbolizing the lingering allure of something that has faded. It delves into the theme of forbidden love, highlighting the haunting repercussions until one confronts their own flaws. We are done with the summary of the story. Now we are going to proceed to the analysis section, wherein these 5 key elements are being discussed. First is the characters, settings, plot, perspective, and themes. Now we're going to first discuss the characters. First character is Alfredo Salazar, the protagonist of the story, engaged to Esperanza but harboring feelings for Julia, and later rekindling emotions for Esperanza. His internal conflicts and yearning for an idealized love drive the narrative. Alfredo's emotional turmoil and realization of the gap between idealized love and the reality serve as the central theme of the story. Second character is Esperanza, Alfredo's fiancée, initially portrayed as the object of Alfredo's affectionate idealism. Her engagement to another man and her eventual meeting with Alfredo after several years highlight the passage of time and the changes in relationships. Esperanza symbolizes the fleeting nature of romantic ideals and the impact of time on emotions. Next character is Julia Salas, a friend of Alfredo's who becomes an object of his fleeting affection. She represents a brief distraction from Alfredo's feelings for Esperanza. Julia's presence in the story showcases Alfredo's wavering emotions and the complexities of romantic entanglements. Next is Doña Adelia, Esperanza's mother and a symbol of societal expectations and norms. Her presence emphasizes the societal obligations and pressures that affect the character's decisions and actions, particularly in matters of love and marriage. Next character is Buenaventura, Alfredo's friend who serves as a confidant and provides insight into Alfredo's emotion and conflicts. He acts as a sounding board for Alfredo's feelings, contributing to the development of Alfredo's character and the exploration of story's themes. Now we are done with the first element. Now we shall proceed to settings. Settings, by a short definition, is the time and place of the story. It talks about when and where did the story happen, and I am going to discuss the setting of the story and how did the setting affect the whole flow of it. Now, Dead Stars is set in the early 1920s, particularly around 1919. The story spans over a decade, referencing events and interactions that occur over several years. The narrative unfolds during the time when social norms and expectations regarding relationships, engagements, and marriages held significant influence on individuals' lives. The story's timeline covers a period marked by societal conventions and the evolving perspective on love and relationships in that era. How does the time period in Dead Stars impact the story's progression? To answer that, here it is. Social norms and expectations. The societal norms of the time heavily dictate the character's behavior and choices. Engagements and marriages were often guided by societal expectations rather than purely personal desires. This setting amplifies the conflict experienced by Alfredo, Esperanza, and other characters as they navigate between their personal emotions and societal obligations. Traditional views on love and relationships. The story is deeply entrenched in traditional views of love prevailing during the early 20th century. The idealized notions of romance and courtship clash with the practicalities of life and the changing dynamics of relationships, contributing to the central theme of disillusionment with idealized love. Next is the passage of time. The story's temporal span, extending over a decade, allows for the exploration of the impact of time on emotions and relationships. It showcases how feelings change, people evolve, and circumstances shift, leading to the characters' realization of the disconnect between their past perceptions and current realities. Another is cultural context. The narrative subtly weaves in elements of Filipino culture and society during that period. References to customs, traditions, and societal expectations provide a cultural backdrop that shapes the characters' thought, actions, adding depth to their struggles and dilemmas. So, as we can notice, time really is influential, even to the things we thought out of reach. Now we are going to proceed to the places and how did it affect the flow of the story. Dead Stars is set in the Philippines, specifically in Manila. The story unfolds within the cultural and societal context of this urban setting in the Philippines, incorporating elements of Filipino society, customs, and values prevalent during that time. Now let us proceed to why is the setting of Manila important to the story's progression? To answer that, we have cultural context. The story is steeped in the cultural nuances and societal expectations of the Philippines during that era. It incorporates Filipino customs, traditions, and social norms, providing a backdrop against which the characters' actions and decisions are shaped. Social expectations and pressures. The societal norms and expectations prevalent in Manila during that time heavily influenced the characters' behavior and choices. The setting emphasizes the weight of societal pressures on engagements, relationships, and marriages, adding depth to the conflict faced by the characters. Cultural realism. The specific setting of Manila adds authenticity and realism to the narrative. It grounds the story in a recognizable place and time, enabling readers to connect more deeply with the characters, dilemmas, and emotions. Historical context. The story captures a particular period in Philippine history, reflecting the societal attitudes and values of that time. It allows the readers to gain insight into the cultural landscape and social dynamics of Manila during the early 20th century. That was setting. And relating the settings of Dead Stars in today's way of courting and marriage, we could say that from that period up till now, some things never really change. Moving on with the third element, we have the plot. We could discuss the plot with the help of the plot diagram. It is a simple way of discussing what really happened in the story's plot or flow, starting with exposition. The exposition sets the stage for the story's main themes and introduces the characters. It primarily focuses on Alfredo Salazar, the protagonist, and his engagement to Esperanza, a woman he is expected to marry. The exposition delves into Alfredo's internal conflict as he grapples with his feelings for Julia Salas, a woman he met years ago and with whom he is still emotionally connected. So that was the exposition of Dead Stars. Now let's move on to the rising action. The rising action revolves around Alfredo Salazar's internal turmoil and his rekindled feelings for Julia Salas. The story progresses as Alfredo encounters Julia again after many years, reigniting emotions he thought were long buried. His growing infatuation with Julia leads to internal conflict as he grapples with the consequences of his feelings. Meanwhile, his impending marriage to Esperanza adds pressure, creating a sense of tension and dilemma within Alfredo. The rising action builds as Alfredo becomes increasingly entangled in his emotions, torn between his duty to Esperanza and his lingering love for Julia. Now, let us proceed to the climax. Now, the climax occurs when Alfredo finally realizes the depth of his feelings for Julia and the intensity of the connections he shares with her. It happens during a moment of realization and clarity, as he understands the impact of his emotions on both his present engagement with Esperanza and his past relationship with Julia. This realization marks the pinnacle of emotional tension and conflict for Alfredo as he grapples with the consequences of his feelings and the choices he has made. This moment is crucial as it defines the peak of his internal struggle and sets the stage for the story's resolution. Now, after the climax, we move on to the falling action of the story. Now, the falling action occurs after the climax, as Alfredo grapples with the consequences of his realization about his feelings for Julia. He faces the emotional aftermath of his internal conflict and the impact it has on his engagement with Esperanza. Alfredo undergoes a period of reflection and contemplation, trying to reconcile his emotions and the choices he has made. The following action is characterized by a sense of resolution and acceptance, as Alfredo comes to terms with his feelings and the decisions he must make regarding his future and the relationships involved. Now that was our following action. Now we are going to proceed to resolution. The resolution of the story involves Alfredo Salazar coming to a sobering understanding about the reality of his situation. He recognizes the impossibility of rekindling his past romance with Julia Salas due to the passage of time and the changes that have occurred in their lives. Alfredo acknowledges the consequences of his actions and accepts the responsibilities tied to his engagement to Esperanza. Ultimately, he decides to move forward with his marriage to Esperanza, realizing that romantic ideals and fantasies about Julia belong to the past. The resolution brings a sense of closure to Alfredo's internal conflict, although it tinged a bittersweet acknowledgement of lost possibilities in the realization of the choices he has made. That was the plot, and if we could thoroughly digest the story's plot, we could say that it was an absolute bittersweet dilemma. Now, we shall proceed with the next element, which is perspective. The perspective is the element that somewhat helps the audience to better understand the story through narration. In Dead Stars, the narrative perspective is distinctly third person omniscient, where the narrator stands outside the events and characters, observing and providing insights into their thoughts, emotions, and actions. An example that illustrates this is when Alfredo Salazar reflects on his feelings toward Julia, noting he had not seen her again, nor exchanged a word with her, but he retained an unreasoning, persistent feeling that he would meet her again. The narrator conveys Alfredo's emotions and expectations without being directly entrenched in Alfredo's thoughts or experiences. Throughout the story, the narrator maintains his observational role, providing insights into the character's actions, desires, and conflicts without becoming an active participant in the events. This use of the third person perspective enables a broader view of the narrative and facilitates a more comprehensive understanding of the characters and their interrelationships. That was perspective. Now, we shall discuss the last element, which is the themes. Theme is the overall idea or message of the story. Starting with the first theme is illusion of romantic ideals. The story delves into the complexities of love and the illusions surrounding it. Alfredo Salazar becomes committed with Esperanza, a woman of virtue and traditional values. His perception of love is idealized, influenced by romantic notions and societal expectations. The narrative exposes the disparity between romantic ideals and the reality of human emotions, showcasing how individuals may chase unrealistic fantasies that lead to the disillusionment. Time and change. The passage of time and the changes it brings are prominent themes in Dead Stars. The story spans over a decade, highlighting how people and circumstances evolve. Alfredo's emotions for Esperanza linger through the years, yet when they finally meet again, he realizes that both he and Esperanza have changed. This theme explores the inevitability of change and the impact it has on relationships and individuals' perspective. Next is the conflict between duty and desire. Throughout the story, there's a constant struggle between duty and personal desires. Alfredo is torn between his engagement to his fiancée and his feelings for Julia Salas. This conflict emphasizes the societal norms and obligations that often clash with the personal desires, leading to internal conflict and difficult choices. The first three themes are just supporting ideas, but the main theme of the story is forbidden love. The protagonist, Alfredo Salazar, grapples with feelings for a woman named Julia Salas. Despite already being engaged to Esperanza, this attraction is forbidden by societal norms and expectations, as it challenges the acceptance of boundaries of engagement and loyalty. Alfredo's struggle to navigate his feelings, while honoring his commitment to his fiancée, embodies the theme of forbidden love, showcasing the internal tension and moral dilemmas arising from societal constraints. And that was all for themes. Now we proceed to the conclusion wherein I discuss my own insights or ideas on how I comprehend the story. These two are the key concepts on how I will discuss my conclusion. First is my own insights. Reading the story was quite a roller coaster of emotions and feelings. It enabled me to understand how hard it is to comprehend an individual's desire for love and at the same time understanding social norms and expectations during that period. The story itself serves as a window of understanding to the things I can't even relate to because I never experienced such dilemma. Another is navigating love's complexities challenges us daily. Love's impact beyond an emotion shapes choices, tests resilience, and reshapes perspectives. Amid uncertainties, it's fundamental, guiding actions and relationships. Understanding love's duality, its uplifting and challenging nature, defines our life journey. Now we are done with my insights. We shall proceed to the story's relevance. Dead Stars resonates today by delving into unmet desires, societal pressures, and the conflict between personal dreams and societal norms. It highlights the enduring struggle of individuals balancing their aspiration with external expectation. In our contemporary world, Where personal fulfillment can clash with societal conventions, the story urges reflection on love, loyalty, and navigating desires amid societal influences, an ever-relevant narrative, prompting introspection and empathy across generations. Next, Dead Stars remains relevant today by exploring love's complexities, disillusionment, and societal expectation. It highlights the clash between personal desires and societal norms in relationships, mirroring the ongoing struggle individuals face in balancing their inner aspiration with external pressures. A timeless theme that echoes in today's context. And that was all for the relevance of the story. Now that we are all done, I hope you all have a better understanding and outstanding ideas regarding to our hidden gem Dead Star. That is all from me. Thank you and good day.